Hey, my name is Devin Lentz. I am a third-year music education major at Jacksonville State University in Jacksonville, Alabama. Today we're going to be looking at the 2021 Alabama All-State Flute Technical Etude. This piece is called Cantabile alla Moderna. And first, I'm going to play the piece for you, and we're going to talk about some tips and tricks and some things we need to look out for when we play this piece. So without further ado, let's play this thing. All right, so now we're going to talk about some tips and tricks for the piece. So before you even start, I would recommend practicing your A major scale because it's not every day that we see, a piece with 3 sharps in it. So practice the scale, do some triads, make sure you know the scale by the back of your hand because it's going to make it a lot easier when you go to play this etude. So looking at the first measure, it says con ardore, which roughly translates to with passion or enthusiasm. So we're going to make sure that every note in this piece has a lot of color and a beautiful tone. So starting on the first measure, we're going to see one of our big concepts that's going to apply throughout the entire etude, and that's to push through the notes and grow through the notes. So this first half note, we don't want to just sit on it stagnant. We want to push through, make more vibrato, and with a beautiful tone. So. So we want every note, every half note in this piece to have a lot of forward motion going through it. So looking at the second measure, we see we have an F sharp. Personally, for this run, I use the middle finger, F sharp, because it's easier to go between E and F. But for example, with the F sharp on measure 4, I would use the third finger because on my flute, at least, it's just more in tune and it sounds better. So that's what I would recommend in terms of that. Now, looking at measure 3, we're going to see this forward motion concept again, but this time we want to start softly at mezzo forte and grow through this run here. And on that B that I just played, we want to make sure we hold all the way till 4. And we want to give that note lots of vibrato and lots of resonance. And then you're going to come in on that F sharp and apply the same forward motion to this D right here. And that brings me to another thing we need to talk about. At some point, you're going to need to write down all of your breath marks throughout the piece because this piece, there's a lot of weird places that we need to breathe, and we need to make sure that it all matches with the phrasing. For example, you're going to want to breathe There's a couple of places where you don't want to breathe. For example, measure 17 going into 18. We don't want to breathe after that fermato, we want to hold it. We want to push all the way to 1 and then breathe. Going into the... And right here, we need to take a huge breath, because this breath is going to have to last us a while. It's going to have to last us all the way through measure 23. We don't want to breathe. If we have to absolutely breathe, we don't want it to be in the part where we go, now breathe. We want to push all the way through that line, because it says allargando. Now, allargando means to slow down, but at the same time, we need to broaden the sound and give it a more full sound, which basically means we're going to have to push through it and grow. So we don't want to breathe while we're crescendoing. So breathe on measure 23 on beat 2 instead. And as far as this run goes...
You good? No, you're not. You're not, baby, and it's okay. You're not good, and it's okay. You don't need to be good all the time. It's okay to not be good.
You're just going to have to slow that down and make sure every single note is resonating the right way. You want to make sure that the accents are speaking and that they don't just sound like every other note. Bottom, bum, bum, bottom, bum, bum, bottom, bum, bum, bottom, bum, bum. And that's going to give it some forward motion as you're pushing through, as you're going down. And we want to make sure that we grow through that line the entire time. And so now we're at the recapitulation at 24. We're restating the beginning theme. Now, as far as measure 29, we want to make sure that we're pushing all the way across the top of that arc there. And then we want to hold that F sharp just a little bit and give it some shimmer before we go back down. So... that way we have a destination. Dum, bum. And looking toward the end, we just want to delicately touch that A on measure 32. But it needs to have a beautiful tone. Now it says largo, so right there we're going to immediately have to transition into a slower tempo. So we want to fade into niente there, or to no sound. But otherwise, that's about it for this piece. There's a lot of fun things to learn in this piece, and there are some tricky parts, but with slow metronome practice, I think you'll be able to get it just fine. Make sure you mark those A sharps and E sharps, especially around measures 10 and 14, because we don't want any wrong notes in there. But push to the end of those phrases. Make sure every note speaks and resonates, and you'll be good to go. So thanks for watching my video, and good luck with your audition.